Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Layor Salami, and I'll just keep the intro. Everything you heard that is about me. So, design authority, just as you hear it, it sounds like you fighting with your boss every day. It sounds like you almost slapping stakeholders during sessions, and but it's all about making decisions, for products and not being questioned about why, because your users should understand why. If something, you have to first get them to trust you. You have to make good decisions. As you grow in your career, you take the importance of your team not reviewing your designs every day, your team trusting you, making sure you have a design system that you're always following. Then you get to say, I'm a senior designer. From there, you become a lead when you start managing people. From there, because when I'm managing people at that point, then you have to have the vision of the product that you're building. Like you need to be aware of where the company is going to. So the intersection of design and product. The reason why this is important is there's design and there's actually the product. You know, user experience. We can all get catch up in the development of the user experience at every point in time, because we are designers. We want to do the best UI. We want it to fly. We want it to have colors. We want to put all the shadows we can think about. And the product is it's more of a life cycle. You come in and you do your thing. You fight with your project manager. The project manager again. So unfortunately for me, speaking to someone that has been a QA, a PM, a business owner like a CEO and a designer. So I have been a developer. I also develop when I have to, when engineers do their thing and I have to pull up, right? So it's a life cycle, and if you do not respect the life cycle, you would underplay it, in the sense where the project manager asks you to do something. If you're not sure what you want to do, you ask questions, right? So it's different when you're designing. You have to know what you need to do. It's not just about the aesthetics. It has to be the business goal. So development includes the life cycle, and creating an identity of the product. Indigo would be a use case I would use as we move further. So your role as a designer, as I've said, it's a balance, a bunch of things. There's the practicality of everything, and there is the goal, business goal. As a business growth person, first thing is I am in the market. Every day I'm in the market. I'm looking at my AI competitors. So I currently, just a side story, 1 minute side story. But currently, I'm training my AI model for Indigo. And one thing I've seen is people do want to ask discrete questions that they're not asking their doctors. I'll just put that there. Like it's always important, and this is because I'm a growth person. We've not even gotten to the product roadmap of the of the AI, but I already know what is happening there. You understand? Like there's a business objective that I'm chasing. The moment we're there, I'm ready to get started. That's just the meaning. So how do I really build this design authority, or how have I built this design authority over time? First thing is, I'm not going to say it as is listed here, but I had to make sure my influence could be felt, in the sense where I had to take ownership of the product, right? I had to, which comes with the vision and strategy. You have to share the vision, you have to share strategy, and you have to create an environment where you influence the product, where you can talk to people about the product and they understand. You're called into a demo. You're not saying, "Oh, it's not me that did it." Though, those kind of comments. You have to be able to understand what the other person has done when you're working with a team. And with Figma, as you all know, collaboration is key. We do pick up people's work from time to time, and it's also important to, when you're designing, you need to share like the roadmap. When you get to a certain point in your career, like do respect with wherever we've all started from. We've all started from pushing pixels to being told just the key statement. Now, in my line of work, I can be told, "Well, I want to build this app that allows you register inverters in Lagos." That might be the only thing I'm being told, right? Or we're building a Lagos smart meter project, and I'm like, "Okay, Lagos smart meter. What does the smart meter include?" You have to share the vision, you have to understand the product. Then you can then communicate, because communication shows that, okay, communication shows that I know this thing and you cannot ride me on it. And what I'm saying here, I have my data because I have the vision of the product. My influence puts me in the point of trust. Like, you know what Layor is capable of, right? Then, at that point, I've captured two of what you need to know. Vision is the biggest part, as I said, because without the vision, nobody will trust you to draft things for the products, because you do not understand. Which is why, if you are trying to go beyond just the designer and you're going up the ladder, you need to start sharing the vision. I was telling somebody outside there's a difference between I pick a job for a paycheck, and there's a difference between when I pick a job for because of I see growth in it. Right now, I've been in Indigo for 8 years, and I'm there because there is a vision. But you can hear this First Bank, you can hear this. These are paychecks. These are paychecks, and those paychecks are what has got me here. Those are what has forwarded my car. But like the vision of Indigo, you can wake me up and say, Layo, I'll tell you the one that I've even written down that I've not told the company that we are still going to do. It's all about your influence as you grow. You need to put yourself there. You need to let the people trust you. You need to communicate. You need to know when your boss is not happy. You need to know when it's about when you put points in your design. Like if you're a leader, you need to communicate a bunch of things, and that's how you show authority within your team. Because authority within your team is important before it can even be touched organization wide. You need to always have control. I tell designers in companies where I'm managing their design teams, you need to show you are in charge. You need to not be questioned. You need to believe that you have the power to make this decision. Layor would see it, but the company will expect Layor to have seen it. So if Layor says, oh yes, submit this design, it means that it trusts you enough. Then you are building your influence. Your confidence is growing once you have that much influence, which also brings me to collaboration, right? Working closely with cross-functional team. The engineers are one of the biggest issues when you are doing things like this. I recently, currently at First Bank, we're building like a project X. I just put that right. And I was called into a session last week, and I noticed the engineers have just gone crazy. And this is a company where there's hierarchy, there's politics. So you cannot call the bullshit of your engineers when you're with stakeholders like the directors, the GMs, and you're like, but that's where you're seeing the issue, and you're like, I didn't do this. Why is this validate button this big? Why did you put this icon? This is not, no, and they'll tell you, oh no, we can't pick the icons from the file. But because I know that I've given you all the assets, so you're at fault because I tried to give you all the assets. That's authority. Because if I didn't give you the asset, I cannot call you out for your bullshit, right? If I didn't give you access to it, I can't. So like you have to do the right things, right? When you're collaborating, for you to not be at fault. When you are not at fault, you need to know how to communicate, saying, I gave you the design system, I gave you the assets, I gave you access to the files, I gave you transcriptions for the design, I even annotated it. What do you want? Like, at that point, you can talk to the person and say, like, what was the problem here? Gradually, they're going to trust you. They're going to be like, okay, Layor's design, don't play with it. He has given us all these things. But it's a lie, though. Sometimes I don't give them all those things. But, like, people will have worked, but I'm just saying, in a standard time, you need to try. I know the people I work with, they will not even read the annotation. People that don't read tickets. So trust me. But when you're in Rome, behave like a Roman. That's what I tell people. But always have your policies. We'll get there. Challenges in this gaining buy-in as a stakeholder. As you said, it's something you have to believe is going to come over time. It's something you have to believe. It's not the first time you demo. I once met the MD of a company I've been consulting for, and I didn't know. He just walked past me and was like, and then someone said, "This is Layor," and I was like, "The Layor?" I was like, "First, am I fired?" First, because apparently I challenged him in a meeting. I never knew he was the one, and he has just wanted to know who Layor is, because I'm a consultant, so I don't show up, right? And then I was just worried, and he said, "Come to my office," and I had to tell the team, like, can we come back? I'll get back here, and I had to get his buy-in, and he gave me so much power to do what I want to do, and I knew it was like, okay, maybe fighting with my boss can be two-sided, but I want this one. But like buying with stakeholders can get you in trouble. You have to be ready for the trouble, which is why your communication skill has to be good. You cannot stutter when you are talking about facts. If you're talking about, if I go out and I'm coming back to the team and I'm telling them, Indigo did not work out today, they would ask me, did you record the session? If I did not record the session, do I have anything to prove? No. Right? I come back and I say, oh, guys, we need to build a customizable form. Form builders. Okay, we'll build an MVP. No, not an MVP. We need to build a standard customizable form, right? Because we're trying to scale. And when I get there, you see where design quality and development speed comes in. Because I am outside there and I know what my stakeholders want, do I have the capacity to build everything at once? Right? That's another thing. Because at this point, you think you have so much power, but you don't want to piss off the entire organization because it's very easy to be a douche. I was a douche just this week where I noticed, so unfortunately, every time anybody adds a new design access seat, I am in trouble. I pay for it in pocket. And I found out a member of my team in another company, as I said, so many companies in this use case, has added 2 people by mistake for 2 months, and the auditors didn't know until this week. Then I pick up my phone, and I'm like, why? This person is not even on any file. You get what I'm saying? Like, why? You know, you have to, the quality of design, I was trying to get people's feedback. So please, I'm just disclaimer, please do not add Figma seats to your organizational account. Nigerians don't want to pay more dollar fees. So please, when you have this authority with you, make sure you take it both on the field, which is on your Figma file, and off the field, your attitude to things, because you need to know how to talk to people. You need to know how to balance things. Your designs, you might do a drop down and they're telling you, we have a drop down library already. You might do, so like there's always difference between the speed and what you've done. And you need to, without this vision, you cannot know how to prioritize that. Unless you keep saying, I have version 1.1.1, I have version 1.1.1.2. You just keep designing and you find out that you are building for nobody. So it has to go side by side. So conflicting priorities, I've also addressed that as I was talking, So the challenges is the relationship, as I've said, I got to a point where I challenged an MD of a company. I did not know it was the MD on that call. And I got called in and, he gave me a round of applause. I've gone sideways also. I also tried to show authority with my fellow colleagues who mistakenly added. As I said, it's a mistake, but it's not. I can't call it an honest mistake. It cost me $60. Like it cost me $30. I don't an honest mistake, but like I have to stay calm. I have to. So like it might be relationship with your stakeholders within your team. It might be relationship with the external team. It might be relationship with your users that you want to get them to. Imagine I'm a finance graduate, for God's sake. I am building an EMR. I have to talk to doctors and tell them I'm building something for them, and you're like, oh, so sad, outpatient. What do you know about outpatient? Gynecology. I notice you don't take vitals. Who told you we don't take vitals? You have to be there. They have to trust you. So you have to come back with your feedback. And when they tell you things, I once did a feature and the entire MVP flopped in the market. And it got to a point where I was running helter-skelter and I had to start apologizing to the team. I thought I knew what the clients want. But data came back and it said otherwise. So sometimes you take L's when you are leading things. You take big L's. Right now, Layor does not have a single live product on App Store. Does that mean that, P2Verse, let's say P2Verse. P2Verse has been very long. Let's say in the last 5 years or since the pandemic, right? Most of my apps have been put out of App Store because the company has gone down the drain or the company has closed up at some point, right? But first, you get First Bank and you wonder, what happened to this guy with First Bank? But today, First Bank is still not live. So I can still say I don't have any live projects on Play Store. I don't want to count P2Verse because I was not leading it. I was just a designer, but like in leadership, but come to web, you see me there. You see me in many projects on web. You see me like there's Sharply, there is Indigo, there is Moneywave, which is a currency exchange app. There's a bunch of things. So you have to come back with feedback. You take big L's, your apps would come out of App Store and it would die. So you need to be ready to take feedbacks. But the ones you are reading and say, this app is trash. What did you build there? Take this thing out. It's an atrocity. There was a time I was at Busha and I was like, and Busha's early days, people were really, praising us. And then I changed the environment on that company and I was like, no, these feedbacks are not good. These are not crypto guys. These guys are angry. So, it takes a very tough skin. So Indigo EMR. Indigo EMR is an electronic medical record solution used by hospitals. One of our biggest hospitals that is Eye Foundation Hospital. Eye Foundation Hospital has over 10, 15 branches. And currently, I was successfully able to scale Indigo to Kenya. And one of the things is, as a designer and as a failed CEO, right? Sharply is not the first, so that's why I did failed CEO. It comes a point where you take some wins and you take some L's, right? This is the biggest win in my life. So I can't compare the 8 years I've spent on this. So I'll try to tell a story around this use case. Indigo started as an MVP one. I was a QA when it started. I was a PM when it launched. Pandemic struck and the MVP couldn't scale past ophthalmology. Ophthalmology is eye care, right? And my lead then jumped ship abroad. Then nobody was there to fill in the role. But they were like, okay, this guy, you're bold enough, right? Say you feel it. All right, that's fine. Take it. Let's see what you're doing. Okay, fine. You're recently a product where somebody you rate so highly, someone that's taught you your entire career, led. And I was like, how are we going to do this? First thing is, Indigo needed to branch into all specialties. Ilium Health is eating us in the market. E-Class just got sponsored by InterSwitch. So, like, there is pressure. It's called, like, for the Yoruba down, pressure tiwa. Like, it was pressure. And I looked at it and I said, okay, this is what we're going to do. We are going to make sure we build to scale. I knew nothing about build to scale, don't forget. Right? So Indigo version 2 MVP started. I had 2 more designers then. So it was now like you are leading a team. That was 2020 was my first taste of leading a team. And don't forget, this was a dysfunctional team. MVP version 1 couldn't scale past this thing. And I was inexperienced. And I had Sharply as an idea during the pandemic. So like I was full of myself. I was making a fool of myself one way or the other. So I had to lead. But my PM trusts me. The QA knows me. The engineers have fought with me before. So I was ready. Then we started. We designed. One thing is, I was able to move patient visits, which is where all medical things happen, into different versions of the solution. And it took a lot of success to do that. But part of the problem was I was not a doctor. I was never a doctor. And I never thought I was a doctor. So that was like the outcome. So improving the doctor's experience was very important. Imagine doctors were using 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Some didn't fill case notes, and they started filling case notes in 5 minutes instantly. So it took off. But the challenges was there was complexity. The stakeholders did not agree with me. I had to rebuild an entire system built by somebody higher than me. So I had to make sure I dot my I's, I cross my T's. My design systems were revamped several times. So, the tips I have right now is always iterate, make decisive as an assertive decision. Be sure, have your data, have your facts, communicate effectively. It's nothing, educate your team. Especially when you start building a team, the moment you know you are growing, you need to tell somebody else what you need to do, right? That is the moment you know that, okay, then then if you've not dot your I's and cross your T's, they don't have anything to reference to. They don't have anything to look at. They would always look up to you. So cross your I's and dot your T's. So, after launching a product, these are the very key things I want to share with you, right? Advocate for product improvement. I started my story with Indigo having AI. AI is buzzing right now. I'm currently claiming I'm lead of what? Design and growth. I have to think about growth. Nobody knows what I have shelved off, but like I do have plans, right? Monitor feedbacks. I am constantly in the doctor's office. I am working everywhere. Sometimes I'm in Ota, sometimes I'm in Ogbomoso. So you can never know where I am. Like it's all about. I'm Kenya. I mean, it's all about where I can sell myself as fast as possible and as good as possible, right? But it's due to my role. Not everybody here is going to be a growth person, right? So some of us we might wait for the feedback from the PMs, from the stakeholders, from the data. So always push for CRM, for monitoring CRMs if you don't have that in your product, so you can get those data. Hotjar is expensive. But there are other tools you can use to record sessions of your, and keep the vision. Always remind yourself why you are building this product. Because are you making money Or are you trying to get this product to be stable to survive 10, 20, 15 years? And hopefully one day you have equity and stakes and you sell and you're good. So that's my advice. And thank you very much for having me today and attending this session.